Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A very good Monday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout, presented by Sentinel Storage, live right here on your clear choice for Edmonton Sports Talk, presented by Play Alberta. Thank you to everyone for listening live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, for those watching live on YouTube, as well as to everyone for listening to this on podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Tom Gazzola, Murray McCourt, Matt Iwanyk with you here on the Hangout as we get set for the start of round two, which gets going for the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow. Gets going tonight. Leafs, Panthers. 5:30, something like that. I haven't looked at what time that's going to be. But the Oilers and Golden Knights tomorrow. And good news through the first four games at the very least.
They're a little
Not
earlier.
A single game starts at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
7 or 7:30, the majority of them being 7:30. And at Hockey Helps the Homeless, Struddy and I were talking. And even with Struddy, we were like, that half hour,
Yep.
30 minutes, that's all it is.
Yep.
Makes the world of difference.
Yeah. When I'm going to game 3 here on Saturday, and when I saw that it was at 7 o'clock, I was like, yes, please. So happy about that.
There is a God.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But today, the Leafs go at 6 our time. That's 8 Eastern.
Oh, it's that
So
time.
They can eat it. Yeah, enjoy Leafs Nation.
Well,
See, that makes sense. Like, I understand, though, is like, there's something about 8 Eastern. Because Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football is 8:20-ish.
Yeah.
NBA Finals all starts at 8, I believe.
Eastern.
Yeah. There's something about the 8 o'clock that is real prime time or something. We had our fill of that, I guess.
Yeah, no.
We don't want it.
They're ahead of they're ahead of the rest of us, obviously. So
I was just in New York last week, right?
Yes.
And what a different lifestyle you have to live out there compared to us if you're a sports fan, because like there was Oilers games that were starting at 10:30 New York time when I was there. Like, are you kidding me? How am I going to stay up and I know.
it's crazy.
Will and Wolf Boys, when they went on one of their tours, they were out in Halifax, and Ryan wanted to watch the Oiler game, and it was an 8 o'clock or whatever start, which means it's an 11 o'clock start. Okay?
Yeah.
11 o'clock start. So that
You want to watch
was
the full
probably just
game,
ending.
1:30, for you to want to finish that hockey game. That's the one you contemplate potentially. Like, I'm just going to go to sleep and wake up a little early.
Yeah.
And as I get ready, press play on the PVR and watch that. This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada storage experts, more than 2 decades helping Canadians through life's transitions. Canadian storage provider. Mother's Day deal on right now. 50% off 12 weeks on all units, 75% off 8 weeks on 10 by 10 units, or you can get 4 weeks free on selected units. As I said, sentinel.ca. This conversation has come up before in other various places, but the Mountain Time Zone is the best time zone for sports.
Absolutely.
It's better than Central, and it's better than the other ones.
There's always something on.
There's always something on, and like if it's a 7 o'clock Eastern start, that's 5 o'clock here. Perfect. Even if it is 8 o'clock, it's not 10 o'clock, it's not 11 o'clock. Like, we can handle it.
Yep.
You just don't want it night in, night out. It's when it comes to North American sports viewing, it's the perfect time zone.
But even we're here, and we were just talking about, oh my gosh, thank God it's a 7:30 start instead of, 8:30 start, and how that makes a big world of difference. So, and we're complaining about it, like those guys in Eastern Canada, like, oh my gosh, it's
That's why the voting is so skewed. They don't get to see anything. They're sleeping. They're done. They watch whatever games they need to watch, and then they just catch the highlights of whatever happens out west. But yeah, how was New York? First time there, right?
It was the first time there.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I loved it. So much to do, so much to see. Could have stayed. I think we were 5 days. I would have liked for sure one more day.
Yeah.
But I had one disappointment in New York, though. I had a ticket. My wife was there for a conference, and so on Saturday she was going to be in the conference all day. The Blue Jays were playing the Yankees on Saturday, 1 o'clock start or 1:05 start, and I'm like, perfect. So I bought myself a ticket.
Yeah.
And I saw that there was a forecasted potential for a little bit of rain, so I bought a ticket that was under an overhang so I wouldn't get wet.
Yes.
But at 10 o'clock in the morning, they postponed the game because there was a threat of thunderstorms in the afternoon. And it drizzled a little bit here and there during the day, but there was no thunderstorms. There was no nothing. It was absolutely ridiculous that they postponed the game. And then, so they played a doubleheader the next day, but we had other plans, so I couldn't go. But so pretty disappointing that I couldn't get to Yankee Stadium and watch the Jays play. That was just amazing that the Jays were actually there when I was there. And but what do you do?
There's so much other stuff to do in New York. Oh, and you could have gone to a Mets game.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Those are nice too.
They're having a great season.
Yeah.
Are they? I don't pay attention to the Mets.
They're pretty good.
Okay. I think that at one point, at least last week when I was looking at the schedule or standings, they're top of the baseball.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so I know you went to like a cool like dinner club, you said?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Well, my wife had a similar. So the first day while she was busy, I went to Rockefeller Place and went on top of that. So that famous picture of those guys sitting on the beam and whatnot. So I sat on the beam on top of New York and whatnot. That was a really cool experience for sure. And then after I got done that, I walked over to Madison Square Garden so I could see that. And when walking there, it was through Times Square. We'd been into Times Square the night before. But you know, when my wife had a lunch break of about an hour and 20 minutes when I was supposed to be at the game, and we'd heard about this place. I think it's called the Starlight Diner, I want to say, just between our hotel and Times Square. And we heard about this place. It was recommended to us, but I was told the food is going to suck. The wine is going to suck.
Yep.
But you're going to have a great time. You're absolutely going to love it. And every time we'd walked by it previously, there was a massive lineup to get into this place.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh boy. But our concierge at our hotel, he took such great care of us. He was amazing. But he sent a text to the Starlight Diner and said, yeah, got somebody. And so he said, just go stand by the statue of a server out front. And as soon as someone comes in, just say, hey, you're Murray staying from Midtown and Scott sent you, and they'll get you right in. I'm like, okay. So we did that, and boom, we were in 5 minutes. And what it is all the servers, they get paid the exact same money as any other server in any other restaurant in New York. But they're all either people that are on Broadway, have been in Broadway, or are trying to get on Broadway.
Really?
And they sing all the time. Like they do different performances and just nonstop music, and it's fabulous. They're so good. And that's why there's the big lineups, because and I guess scouts go there to get talent for upcoming shows and things like that. And it was a special place. And they were right. The food sucked.
Yeah.
The wine sucked. But I didn't want to leave.
Right.
It was that good. I didn't want to leave that place. So
I want to see a Broadway show. I've been to New York like 7 or 8 times. I've been there a bunch. I would like to see, I'm not like into theater or anything like that, but I want to go to a show and experience it.
I saw Hairspray when I was in New York.
I would go to Hairspray.
Yeah. I enjoy Hairspray, but it was just like want to go to Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're there, you need to get your ticket, and you need to go see some show because it's Broadway.
Yeah.
Well, you need to broaden your horizons, though, because that stuff's pretty cool. Like you probably enjoyed Hairspray.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I forgot who's there was a decent-sized actor that I saw doing it. Is it the guy from, do you know that raspy voice from Independence Day early in the movies? Like where Jeff Goldblum's character's in like his office, and there's the guy who like calls his mother and stuff.
I'd have to watch it again. But so
I think he was in Hairspray as the mum.
I remember walking to a bar in New York City along Broadway, and shows were getting out, and Daniel Radcliffe was performing, and like there was this mob of people trying to take pictures, and he was out front of the theater, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And someone's like, that's Harry Potter that's just standing out there. I'm like, oh, I hate Harry Potter, but I know who Daniel Radcliffe is. I've never watched the Harry Potter, but I would go see a Harry Potter Broadway show if there was one. They had that guy.
Harvey Fierstein.
Okay.
I think it was him. I think he was doing Hairspray. He was the mum.
Okay.
He was the mum.
What is
Hairspray? The
Hairspray?
mum is a very masculine voice that's supposed to be in the play. So it's generally a guy that plays the mum in the plays and
I was a
stuff.
little confused by that.
No, yeah. So I think it was him. because I sometimes get it confused with all, like John Travolta played the mom in the movie.
Okay.
No, so it's usually a guy.
What are the big like Broadway shows like Cats, Hairspray?
Hamilton was huge.
Hamilton.
Book of Mormon was massive for a period of time.
Book of Mormon.
What is the best Broadway show right now?
Yeah. We contemplated going to show. My wife had been to one before, and so we just chose some different things. Another thing we did one night, we did a boat tour of the city, went right up to the Statue of Liberty and whatnot, but it had a jazz band on the yacht, and so they're playing jazz music, and so drinks were flowing on that, and a little cruise. So that was pretty fun thing to do too. But
best shows in New York right now based on box office takings and pre-ordered tickets.
Okay.
The Lion King is number 1.
Yeah, sorry.
Hamilton's number 2. Wicked is number 3. Then it goes Chicago, Gypsy, Hadestown, Moulin Rouge, Cabaret, Six the Musical, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. There is a Harry Potter one apparently.
Okay.
Book of Mormon, MJ the Musical, and Aladdin. Those are your top 13. Why 13? I don't know. It says 15, but they're only showing me 13. But yeah, so some of them that you would expect, like Lion King and stuff being there.
So one of the things that I learned when I was down there is Broadway used to be like this area, right, where all the theaters are and whatnot, but that's not necessarily just Broadway anymore because it's based on how many seats your theater has. So there's smaller theaters that are on what used to be known as Broadway that aren't considered Broadway anymore because their theaters are small. But then there's other theaters that are further out that have enough seats. They're considered Broadway as well.
So it's more of a status than an actual
area now. Is the way I
because there used to be the shows off Broadway, which are just off Broadway that were big shows that you would go see, but weren't officially Broadway.
Right. And now they potentially are. But I don't. When you guys were in New York, did you go to Ground Zero 9/11? Yeah, that,
I did the museum.
That's something else. Like wow.
It's
a little emotional.
Heavy.
Actually, it is heavy. Yeah,
it's heavy.
I went when it was still rubble.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
so that was 08. So it was it was almost 7, like it was 2 months away from 7-year anniversary. And it was just weird because, like, I don't know if you guys felt this one too, but you know, we're walking and then you cross the street and then you get into the whole open area and it's just almost like the city went quiet. Like it just quiets down and it's just like you stand there in awe in the most awful way of like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I was there when it was just still the rubble that they're cleaning up and stuff. And it was
far
weird. And there's
did
like
it spread? How, like, because it had to have spread beyond the block that the buildings were, didn't it?
A couple buildings fell down after collapse too when they collapsed. The 2 towers collapsed. They knocked down, I think, World Trade Center 7, or they damaged and then it caused the collapse and stuff.
Right.
So it caused them, but the 2 World Trade Centers, just the amount of steel and everything that they have to get out. Yeah, I was there again, like I said, 7 years after, and it still wasn't cleaned out so that they could start the construction on 1 World Trade Center and stuff. And it was emotional.
Yes, extremely emotional. I felt like you said that's bang on word. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Just to be there and like, it was crazy. But now I want to find a really good documentary about it because it was so long ago now that, you know, you forget some of the stuff. And now that I've been there, like you guys have, I really like to know and understand, like there's lots of big buildings right there that are still beside it. But what did they get damaged, or was there rubble? Like I'd be curious what all the story is with that. That's why that fascinated me when you said you were there with the rubble. Like,
National Geographic did a couple of really good ones.
Did they?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Well, no, it's not to answer your questions, but the 2 best docs I've seen on the world on 9/11. There was 2 French filmmakers.
Oh yeah.
That were filming Firehouse 1, I think it was. They were doing a doc on them. Firehouse 1 ended up being the first on crew to arrive at the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And the brothers were split up. That one brother actually, he's one of like only like 2 people that caught the first plane hitting the tower. And then they were in the building when one of them collapsed.
Oh my God.
And there's a whole documentary on this one group, like this one tower, and it's incredible because it's footage from inside as it's happening, and it's footage from outside as everything's happening. Yes. There was another one called, I think it's called 117 Minutes or something like that, and all they did is they pieced together news from the whole day There's no narration or whatever. It's just you watch the whole day unfold with various news clips.
Ooh, yeah. I want to see these.
Did you go to the museum?
We didn't actually go through it because we had other things we had to get to, but we spent quite a bit of time there, and just took it all in. But the museum, I kind of wish we would have had more time to be able to do that. But another interesting thing that I don't remember from it, and maybe you guys did, but the number of people, when you're reading something about the number of people that passed away in that, it's the number, but there was 18 more that aren't counted in the number because they're the jackasses that did it, right?
Oh,
the 18
right.
people,
Yeah,
they're not counted in the death toll, and I didn't know that, but when I read that when I was there, I'm like, I'm glad. I mean, that felt like the right thing to do to me, but I mean that. Again, I mean, that's part of the heaviness of it, right? You're just reading all this stuff and like, what a crazy scenario that was.
It's incredible what they've built there. Mm-hmm. Like there's that train terminal there that's unbelievable. It looks like a bones basically crossing. It's really cool. When you get in there, it's massive, right outside of One World Trade Center. And then obviously the reflecting pools or ponds or whatever. Mm-hmm. Really nice, and all the trees and that's awesome. But then you go into, or that's really well done, I should say. And then you go into the museum, which is underneath. But I remember going to, I think I spent 5 hours there one day. We had a day off in New York when we were on a trip with the team. And we would stay not far from World Trade Center. We'd stay just like a few blocks away at a nice hotel. But I went to the museum and I got 5 hours, and I probably could have stayed there another 5.
I'm sure.
And like it's unbelievable. Like the stuff that they kept. There's a full fire truck that you just see the destruction of it. They have this portion. It's like it's smushed rubble, and they're like, what you're looking at is 14 floors condensed together, and it's like 10 feet high. And you're like, that's 14 floors. My. And I'm like, this is messed up. And then they have all like the phone calls that people were making from the plane. They have the voicemails of people's phones that died in 9/11. People saying, "Are you okay? I saw the news." And you can like pick up a phone, and it just has like, they have all these phones, and you just pick it up, and it'll play the messages, and you're like, "Oh my God!" It is that's the one thing that the Americans do very well. Is like their disasters and their historical points and things that have happened, like the 6th floor book depository in Dallas, where Kennedy was assassinated. They turn these into these fabulous museums where you get the full history and the breakdown, and it was heavy is the word I would use. I could have spent more time there, and like all those memories. Like I was in 11th grade when that happened, and I remember. We didn't do any school stuff. We watched the whole thing, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
There's not very many things that have happened in our lifetimes that we will always remember where we were when that happened, and we'll all remember that one.
What a city!
That is a place to. If you're ever in New York, like it's a tough one, but you got to go.
Yeah. Two things. I'll just finish.
The museum would be something. Everything you're saying, like that sounds absolutely heartbreaking and all that, but
it's worth it,
especially if you've lived it. Well, actually, the people that haven't lived it, to go to learn what happens.
It is 100% worth it. A couple things about the museum. They have a line for family of the victims. And people who are family and relatives go, and you see them go into that special lineup, and you're like, oh my God, like that. You don't want to talk. You're just like, oh my God, like that's relatives of the people who died here. And then we were out at Midtown one night, and then a bunch of us were making our way back to the hotel. And you talk about like how quiet it is there. It does get, especially at night, it gets super quiet. It was like 1:00 in the morning, and we're walking right through the park, and they just have security there, right? Like there's people watching, and they have maintenance and all that, but it is very quiet. You're right. It just all the bustle and the noise, it just kind of goes away, and you're like, Weird.
And the ponds that you're talking about too, they have the names of every single person that passed away around them, and like the family members or whatever, they'll go put flowers on them. Or some I saw, like a couple I saw had like an American flag kind of stuck into where their name was with the pictures of them, and I'm like, man, you're just sitting there looking at them, and like, it was heavy. Like, oh.
And then you go across the street, and like everything's back to normal.
Yeah, it's incredible how that happens.
Yep.
And like even right there though, when I was there, there was like a Macy's or something we went into.
Yeah,
and it was so weird. You go walk into the store and you do your shopping, then you walk out and it's just quiet again. It's dead, and you're like, oh yeah, like it's just the contrast of how it's all happening in this busy city that's never sleeping. This one area just all of a sudden just dead quiet.
There's an old church right beside there.
Yes.
And the old church is from like the 1800s and has a small cemetery beside it. And I think it got covered, obviously, in the rubble.
Yeah, I think there was a damage to it. I was trying to remember.
But like you walk around there, and it's close to Wall Street, right? And you walk around there, and it's hustle and bustle, people ripping darts in the cemetery, like. And then you go across the street to this huge area, and it's dead quiet. And you're like, there's literally dead people in the cemetery, but everybody's walking around, and it's busy and yapping away. And then you go across the street to like this huge area, it's quiet. I just found that. That's a good point, Matty. It is the contrast. It's kind of crazy.
Shall we move on to some hockey?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Well, but that's part of New York, and
Yeah.
it's the same as just having this conversation this week. Like you go to Europe and you go to the certain countries, like it wouldn't be easy, but going to something like Auschwitz or something would be like something you do. Like you go try that. Like you go learn about the history of this country, or not this country, of this world. And those aren't, again, easy.
No, and that's a great point. It's the history of the world. I mean, that's a big
Why
piece.
Band of Brothers is a brilliant mini-series.
The best.
Chernobyl, brilliant mini-series.
Yeah.
Disaster that came out of it, or that it was, but a brilliant mini-series, and you learn about it to a degree and stuff. So, learning, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
It is, man.
Yeah.
I think that was I was just trying to remember if that is the same. This is EST Hangout. Live on Edmonton Sports, like your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, presented by Play Alberta. Why settle for less when you can have it all? Only Play Alberta brings you casino games, live dealers, lottery, instants, and sports betting all in one place. New players, you could choose. They're offering deposit 20 with promo code 100casino and get $100 or a $100 free bet with 100 sports. Play smart, play local. Always use your game sense. Right now, the special bet is up. The early bird bet, I should say, on the EST specials in Play Alberta. Dusty creating Panthers to win. Barkov 1+ points. Kachuk 1+ points. Reinhardt 1+ points. That is plus 295. As for the Oilers, we mentioned tomorrow they are in action in Vegas. 7:30 puck drop, so a little bit after that, which means the GCLD's Oil Stream pregame show live from Boston Pizza on 170th Westgate, across from West Edmonton Mall. You will get going at 6 o'clock for the pregame tomorrow. Tommy, Will with Hernan and Cass. I guess the big thing to discuss right now, goaltending. Who starts? This has become a thing.
Like,
you're not buying into anything that happened yesterday. Okay, explain something to me. Because Rashog said on the mandate that it's easier to know at Rogers Place as opposed to downtown community rink, the more designated starters net. What is that like? Why is it more known at Rogers?
Because at the actual rink, the goalie that is starting that night practices in the net that he is in twice. So,
and you just don't know that at the downtown community rink, which one, because they don't play there enough?
And that's where, because yesterday was my day off, so I didn't go to the practice. And I was seeing this Skinner stuff, and I'm like, guys, it's at the DCA. Like, you can't really... It's the practice rink. It's kind of more of a scramble, if anything. Like, I don't think they have a designated starters net at the DCA. So that's why I think of it that way. And then the other thing too is like I would read more into tomorrow's practice in Vegas. Obviously, they are practicing today before they fly out, but I'm sure it'll be optional tomorrow. But we'll have a better indication, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Calvin Pickard. I think we're just creating a story to talk about something as we anticipate Game 1.
Got to have something on the docket to talk about.
Yeah.
A little controversy, maybe. No,
People are freaking out.
Yeah.
We're going to see Stu Skinner at some point again.
Well, for other fans, they hope that's not the case. And I say that because then that means Pickett's faltered.
It's not going to be an easy series.
100%, I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's there would be something like, I hope not.
But
like,
Pickard wasn't awesome. He wasn't outstanding. He didn't steal them that series. No. He was adequate.
I go, he was better than adequate. He made the saves when he needed to.
3 of the 4
He made the
games.
saves that to keep them in the game or to win that hockey game. The LA Kings could have tied that hockey game in game 6. But Pickard made the saves late in the third.
Yeah,
like that's the thing.
Like, he was good.
It was borderline like that Grant Fuhr-esque model of.
Well, I think that's a stretch.
But it didn't let the next one in. Didn't let that next one in. He knew that, okay, he let in a few, but I can't let the next one in. Otherwise, we're going to lose this hockey game or the Kings are going to get going. And that's all you need to me from the Edmonton Oilers in goaltending.
So the game 5, he was outstanding, I think. But the other 3 games, he was... like his save percentage was like .850. If you go look at the save percentages of the goalies in the playoffs, I mean, both the Oilers goalies are right near the bottom. They need better goaltending and better defensive play, or they're not going to win this series. The other side of that, though, Vegas needs better goaltending than they got in round 1, or they're not going to win the series. So,
the Oilers are coming in with the better goalie in terms of save percentage, are they not?
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I don't have a great read on this. I'd love to hear your guys' take on it because both teams I don't feel were at their best in the last series. I guess Oilers got Leon and Connor, so that gives them a punching chance no matter who they play. But I don't think I don't have any confidence in, like, Calvin Pickard's a career backup goaltender. He's not going to take the Edmonton Oilers to win a Stanley Cup. He's not. Their defense has not played great. Losing at home.
He's not.
But Jordan Binnington was just an AHL goalie at the time, and he rattled off a season where he won them a Stanley Cup. Yeah. Like, sometimes it just takes that goallie to be hot at the right time.
You want a Michael Layton part 2?
Sure.
There's been a couple for sure.
Who's the goalie I'm thinking of? I think the Blackhawks in one of their Stanley Cups. Was it Niemi?
Yeah.
Wasn't exactly the greatest. Now, he was more of an NHL starter throughout his career.
Yeah.
But every so often, you get that goalie that just is hot. Cam Ward, ultimately, his career was something, but he wasn't anything. In 06, he took over the net after in 02. I can't remember who the Hurricanes goalie was
Marty
at the time.
Gerber.
Thank you.
Good memory.
Thanks.
Down 0-2 in the series, he comes in, doesn't look back, goes off. Dwayne Rollison wasn't this stud goalie that everyone thought got hot in 06 at the right time, then became a much more established goalie. I think
he was an all-star one year,
but
with Minnie, because it was him and Manny Fernandez back and forth sharing the net.
I forgot about Manny Fernandez.
Yeah,
a couple of really good.
You're
pulls
like
already.
a hockey encyclopedia right now.
It's just one of those. If this was the off season and we're saying, okay, should the Oilers go with Pickard next year? I'd understand that narrative. And where you guys are saying, like, no, he's I get that going into a season.
Backup.
But for right now, I'll defend the idea of he just needs to be hot for 2 more months. That's it.
Has he done that in his career?
Doesn't matter. He's done it over the last month and a half, I would say.
Well, here's an interesting question for you. Like, most teams have a goalie split all season long of 60% for one, 40% for the other is pretty
Something
common.
Like that, yeah.
But yet when playoffs come, you're expecting your number one guy, if you're going to win a Stanley Cup, to play every single game for 2 months. I mean, they don't do that all year, but then there's the expectation that that's what happens in the playoffs. And should it be like the platoon of goaltenders and works for teams in racing? I just think that that's too much onus on one guy. And for like last year, where the Oilers getting to Game 7 of Stanley Cup, both goalies were required to get them there. And if they're going to get there again this year, I think both goalies are going to be required to do it again. And I think that should actually be more the norm than not norm, because that's what happens all year long.
I think Florida did they not start with Spencer Knight in the playoffs? Or was that
one of the last 2 years they did.
Yeah,
I can't remember. You might
came in.
But there was a point over the last 2 years. One of them at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did go with him. He was supposed to be where's Spencer Knight?
Bobrovsky came in. He got traded to.
I thought so. Was it Chicago?
Yeah,
Chicago, that's right.
Chicago.
I thought you were joking there, like
Because he was the next big guy.
No, he started the playoffs for the Panthers. I think that was 2 years
excited
ago.
about him in Chicago.
By the way, this is Hangout Headlines brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. From your premier golf facilities to the corporate branded products, the Ranch, your all-in-one tournament host, proud host to over 180 tournaments every year, including the EST Golf Classic. They're here to help execute all your tournament ideas. Get your tournament today at the Ranch by visiting theranchgolf.com or go to theranchgolf.com to book your tee time. Another beautiful week coming. I am with you. I remember going into the bubble, I think it was that year, and the Oilers that season had Koskinen and Smith more of a 50-50 split.
Right.
And everyone wanted to just declare a starter and go with one guy. And I'm like, well, why would you do that when that hasn't been your season?
Right.
I don't know what, like we've seen it a few times where very few over the last few years where teams have gone with I'll rotate my goal a little bit in the playoffs. I don't know why coaches still, they don't want to go against hockey culture. They don't want to go against taking their starter and bench, like I guess not benching him, but wait. The other part is there's no back-to-backs. That kills how many of the putting in your backup goalie.
Yeah.
And you're just going up against one team. You could just plan for one team.
For sure. I mean, teams do it for a reason, but I mean, the reason is because, well, that's the way it's always been. Well,
you got to adapt.
You say that in any business, that's just the way we've always done it. Well, your business isn't going to be very successful. You need to change and evolve. And like Boston Bruins last year, did they not, their goalies were basically 50-50 all year long, and then like you said, you get to the playoffs and one of them was going to be the starting guy, and they changed what they did all year long. And how did that work out for them in the playoffs? Like not great. So,
they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs at least, though.
Yeah, but everyone does that except for Ottawa this year. I was so excited when it got Toronto's up 3-0, and then it goes to 3-2. I was like, come on, Ottawa.
Yes.
That would have been the best thing ever to Toronto fans to feel that again, and like the body blow again and again and again from their failures in the playoffs. But
I think the Panthers will make them go night.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, go with what's working. Pickard's working right now, and let him see what happens.
Right.
Also, here's another thing: Pickard was the first ever pick of the Golden Knights in the expansion draft. Did you know that?
You are an encyclopedia today. Unbelievable.
Wait, because it went by teams?
I can't remember. He was the first guy.
I thought it was Marc-Andre Fleury.
No, it was Calvin Pickard, and he had a mask design. This one I have to give credit to Ken Bulkey over at Sin Bin Vegas. I did a thing with him on Saturday night. Pickard had a mask designed, and it had like cards on the side, and inside the cards there's like king, queen, ace, whatever. But inside was his nickname, Pix. But the strap covered the lower part of the P, so it looked like dicks.
Oh, did it now?
Yeah. So there's pictures of that mask floating around. But yeah, he was the first pick in the expansion.
I'm fascinated by this. Vegas.
And then they flipped him to Toronto.
Do goalies that bounce around a little bit, like their basements like full of all the mass that they've had over their careers? Yeah,
yes,
probably. That'd
legit,
be kind of cool to see a lineup of mass that the guys had over their career.
I don't know what made this order, but yeah, Calvin Pickard from the Colorado Avalanche, number 1. Lucas Spiza, drafted from Vancouver, number 2. Teemu Pulkkinen,
I remember him. He
number
had a big
3,
slap shot.
From who?
Arizona.
Yeah.
John Merrill from Devils. William Carrier from Buffalo. Those were your top 5 picks.
Yeah.
What a weird. But like the order, it was Colorado, Vancouver, Arizona, New Jersey, Buffalo, Dallas, Detroit, Florida, LA. Like this must have been
Based on standings?
Well, no, because then the last 4 picks,
Because the Avs were really bad back
30 was Washington, 29 was Pittsburgh, so same conference. 28 was Chicago, 27 was Columbus.
Who did they take from Chicago?
Yeah,
It was
but
like nobody.
Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
That seems like it was based on standings at that point, because Chicago was good. Columbus had a good couple of years late in the teens there.
But what difference does it make? They're the only team taking the players, so what difference does it make who they take when? It's just like, here's our list. This is
I thought that's where it's like, yeah, I'm just trying to think back. Well, why don't you just do it alphabetical from the teams?
That I don't remember.
That would make more sense. Okay,
Griffin Reinhardt's selected by the Golden Knights from the Oilers.
Hold up. I'm seeing some sort of standings. Can I have the full standings? Damn it. So Washington had 118 points. Pittsburgh had 111.
Those are monster seasons.
Yeah, so they went, I think, regular season standings.
Yeah.
Because then Columbus was 108 points.
Yeah, they had a good
Only
run
Chicago
there.
was higher. So yeah, they would have done just based on regular season standings. Okay.
Yeah.
Could have done just alphabetical.
Completely irrelevant. Unless there's two teams expanded at
Yes.
the same time, then I could see their
Minnesota and Columbus.
Columbus.
Did they do it at the same time? Or was
I
it
think
Thrashers with
they
someone?
did. It was Nashville, then Atlanta, then Minnesota, Columbus.
Together.
Yeah. Yeah. Nashville 97, 98, 99. Atlanta 99, 2000. Mini and Columbus 2000, 2001.
You're blowing me away today, Tommy.
Thanks.
A wealth of knowledge over there.
I remember it was a big deal when Gretzky played in Nashville because that was his last year. So he actually played in Nashville. And he did play in Atlanta, obviously, when the Flames were there. Same with Minnesota, but never Columbus. So there's that. Also, he did play in Vegas because I think the Kings IHL affiliate was the Las Vegas. What the hell were they? Thunder? Something like that.
So he played for them?
They did like an exhibition game. Oh, they would do exhibition
Well, he did
games in
the
Vegas.
outdoor game in
That's
Vegas,
right,
did he
at
not?
Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I was showing Trev that a few weeks ago. The outdoor game at Caesar's Palace where they had to get like the bottles of nitrogen and like spray the ice, and there was cracking and the locusts and stuff. Dougie Waite and Louis DeBrusque were in that game, playing for New York.
What was the temperature like in Vegas?
It was hot. It was like 70 degrees.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was bad. Like the ice was breaking, like literally breaking apart.
But that was exhibition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly Rudy had a camera on his mask. It was kind of cool. And it was in the parking lot. I was like, I remember being in Vegas. I'm like, where would this game have been played?
There is a lot of space in front of Caesars, but I assumed it was in front. I was just trying to think, like, where exactly? Because there's some stairs all go down into one area, but I wouldn't have thought that'd be big enough for a rink. So, yeah, if it was in the parking lot.
And they've built those two huge towers, and they've got the Forum Shop, too. There was F1 races back there, too, in the late 70s, early 80s. That's where they would have is like in the back parking lots.
Toronto Blue Jays just announced Max Scherzer as well as Eric Swanson to the 60-day injured list. Oh, just throwing that out there.
How's that signing working out?
Okay, so what's the key for the Oilers for this series? Like, how do they match up against the Vegas? Like,
Fine.
Yeah.
I feel that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good series.
It's going to be a different series than the last one. Like, there's no hatred. Even though 4 years in a row, there was no hatred between the Kings. Like, you have anybody on the Kings, you're like, oh, I hate this guy because, there's none
Mikey
of that.
Anderson.
He was a ghost in that
Oilers.
first
I know, but I think Oilers fans hate him because of what he did to Drysdale a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Mikey Anderson would be the big player.
This series is going to be physical. At the end of the series, there's going to be people that all the Edmonton fans are going to be, I hate that guy. It's going to be.
They might hate fans, just like when the one lady was giving the finger to Vander Kane.
Yeah.
Great photo.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, the Oilers are going to have to match up with their physicality, and the Oilers are going to need to play better defensively, and they're going to need to get some goaltending. But so does Vegas. So I don't know. I don't know if you said for me to pick this series, I don't know what I'd say because to me, it's all going to be dictated on mostly goaltending and defensive play. And which team's gonna rise up from what it was like in the first round for them both?
Or is it just the Oilers also need to learn how to hold on to their leads? Because what was it, a couple of years ago? Every single game they had the lead
in every game,
and they blew it. Like, goals will be scored in this series based off what we've seen off the opening round.
Yeah,
with the goaltending and the defense of both teams, right? Like Aiden Hill too, 800 save percentage or whatever it was.
Yep.
But what's going on? Connor Hellebuck.
Oh my God!
It's weird right now. Like the three Vezina finalists are all like three of the worst save percentages.
All three were almost knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, that's crazy.
3 seconds saves Hellebuck's his season and the Jets season.
Yeah.
For the Oilers. Oh, this is flipped. I think on Friday, the Oilers were slight favorites over the Golden Knights, I think, if I recall correctly. Right now, the Oilers are still the favorites in this series, according to Play Alberta. They have the Oilers at -125, the Vegas Golden Knights at -105.
So close, though.
Very close, very close. But they have the Oilers as the favorite going into this series. Yeah, well, I look at the Golden Knights series and against the Wild, what was it, games 4 and 5, both were overtime.
Yeah, close.
Right? Like Minnesota pushed them well, but you brought it up. The better hockey team, you know, once they got their players back, they were good before their injuries. So I don't know. This is the Oilers going up against a team that has better offense and better defense. And how are they going to be able to handle that? Yeah. That's the big question.
Adjustments. I'm curious to see how the Oilers attack, like if they switch up their breakout or something like that. Yeah, because I think you have to find ways to get to the middle of the ice in the offensive zone, and those guys are huge. Those sequoias, as Belzy likes to say.
They're missing one of their better goal scorers, are they not?
Dorofiev is hurt. Yeah.
So that's impactful on them. Maybe similar impact that not having Ekholm is for the Oilers on the D side, maybe, or not. Maybe not that much.
Yeah. Well, it's significant.
Yeah, it is significant for sure.
I think he was leading them in scoring. But yeah, like you look at their stats going into this series, it's Eichel and Stone. Eichel, Stone, Hurdle, and I think Theodore are their top 4 scorers, and 2 of them have 5 points, 2 of them have 4 points, and every one of those guys is a minus player right now.
Yeah, and I think I read a stat too about like pretty much every player on their team has 2 points.
Yeah.
So like they're very balanced.
There's balance there.
But Eichel's an elite player. He can get going. Like, but you even look at like these playoffs are just blown my mind because like Colorado, Dallas missing their best D-man and arguably their best forward. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the stats of them against Colorado, they had no business winning that series at all.
Yeah.
But they're the ones moving on, and like, you just never know in playoffs. That's why they play the games, right? Yeah.
Rantanen just popped off. That was crazy. That third period, I'm watching that. I'm like, this guy's gonna just win it himself, and he almost did.
Yeah, two games in a row.
Yeah,
game 6 and 7 he did.
Crazy.
Where for 3 months ago he got traded and did nothing in Carolina and done almost nothing in Dallas, and then all of a sudden,
The Beast Awakens.
And how does Colorado feel? Because they traded him to Carolina. They didn't expect that they were going to have to play him in round 1 of the playoffs. Like, they've got to be just pissed at the way that played itself out.
That's the risk you take. But
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But like he's not your player anymore.
You might have had to face him in the Stanley Cup final, so you knew maybe at some point. I know, but when you're making that trade, you go, maybe Carolina, if we had to play him, we might still have to play him in the playoffs. But not in the first rounds. But you blow a 2-0 lead going into the third period when Dallas hadn't had any multi-goal comebacks all season in the third period.
Yeah.
But that's the momentum of hockey. Like, that's where you saw it, and the crowd really into it. And I give full props to Dallas Stars fans. They stand. I know it annoys people watching on TV. You got all these people
They're doing
standing.
It in Winnipeg last night, too.
But I respect that you stand for the majority of, for a large chunk of that third period, their fans were standing, and they were just giving it start to end. There was no break for Dallas Stars fans. There was no nervous moment for Dallas Stars fan. They just brought it even when they were trailing, and I give them credit for that. The Oilers, their 3rd and 4th most games with the most hits this season were against Vegas. They had a game on April 14th against LA. That was the game that had the most hits this season. Feb against Tampa was their 2nd most. Oh, no. And then tied for 2nd most was also a game with Vegas. They had a game of 30 hits and 29 hits. So the Oilers this season, when they have been physical based on that hits stat, if you want to go with it, I know it's a little subjective, it is against this Vegas Golden Knights team.
So, Matty, then how big of a difference, too, adding Evander Kane and Frederick to the Oilers lineup, which played in none of those games, and those are a couple of pretty physical guys. So the Oilers can, match up with that physicality against them, I think.
They're a bigger team, Edmonton is, in general, than it was 2 years ago when it lost in 6 to the Golden Knights. So a little bit different. Yeah, a little more jam to the game. No Connor Brown. Right. No Adam Henry.
Yeah, Ryan McLeod never hit anybody.
Well, our buddy Joe DiBiase out of Buffalo, out of WGR 550, he sent me a text one day later in the season, and he's like, can you believe this stat? And it was Ryan McLeod's stat line. He had 17 goals and 16 hits on the year.
Wow.
At that point, and I think there was like 9 games left.
Yeah, it's not his style, but he's a good player. He's got lots of speed, good penalty killer.
You don't have to hit guys when you have the puck, right?
Yeah, lots of good things in his game.
Yes, I very much enjoyed Ryan McLeod, but physicality was not his forte.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd produce with a couple timely goals here and there. I remember there was one point he got benched last year. Did he score the next game after in the playoffs? He got back in the lineup. I think he scored right after the benching too, though.
Yeah.
Because that's where Knobloch was just perfect last year. Like every move he made,
it worked.
It hit the right buttons.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking this, speaking of like personnel and Oilers of the past. We're going to watch Tony Stolarz in net for the Maple Leafs.
Stanley Cup winning member from last year.
Yeah, Nathan Walker had a great first-round series against Winnipeg for St. Louis. And our boy, the pride of the North Side, Alex Petrovic, is back up with the Stars playing regular minutes, which is awesome. He's a family friend, so
Cody Cece's there too.
Cody Cece.
He went into that game as top pairing, I believe.
Well, how about that? Ty Emberson, Cody Cece. Castle never let that down.
I did see the game card of Dallas for the series, and Cody Cece was the bottom player on Dallas on those game cards, like all that advanced stats stuff that they all put together under those game cards. I don't think it's called a game card, but and the other piece to that, I saw it because they had it all listed together, Colorado and Dallas all together, and like the top 6 guys were all Colorado Avalanche, McKinnon, McCarr, everybody, and then the Dallas guys, Cody Cece, by those stats, was the worst player in the series.
That's why a lot of those stats are useless.
Absolutely.
One stat that's not useless, which I find fascinating, is Pete DeBoer is perfect in Game 7.
That's crazy too.
Was it 10-0 or what is it now?
9-0.
9-0.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think that his teams. I do want him one day to get a cup.
Seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
He was on 1260. Did Struddy have a co-host that day? He was filling in. And I can't remember if he had a co-host he might have had a co-host that day. But he got Pete DeBoer on. It was an awesome conversation. They were talking about junior days and like it's just all sorts of different things. But I was at that point like, I like this guy. Like this guy's fun. Yeah. Like I would love to talk with just Pete DeBoer. He seems like a character and stuff. Yeah. You don't notice that when he's behind the bench and all of that. He's had some tough, like he's done really well as a coach. Mm-hmm. He's gotten teams close. Mm-hmm. He's just never gotten it done.
Well,
because was he New Jersey?
Yep.
He was New Jersey when he got them to the Cup.
Yep.
He went to San Jose. Was he their coach when he took them to the Cup?
No, that was.
Or was that McClellan? I feel like
that would have been DeBoer because Todd was in Edmonton by that point. Todd came in 15-16, and that's the year San Jose went to the Cup.
Oh, so he was a coach in Florida first. I missed those years. Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But then with New Jersey, they went to the Stanley Cup final. With the Sharks, they lost in the Stanley Cup final. With Vegas, they got to conference finals. With Dallas, he's gotten to conference finals. Like this guy, he just can't get over that one level. He's like he's Paul Maurice until last year.
Yeah.
Paul Maurice never could get it done. Finally got it done.
Well, he went to a great team though. I mean, Winnipeg. They had good teams in Winnipeg. He probably underachieved
they had a conference
as the
finals
coach of the Jets over the years. But then it goes to Florida is loaded.
But Pete DeBoer is just. But yeah.
Okay, but that many Game 7s, like, does that like getting to that many Game 7s? Is that like that's an unbelievable stat? But that's a lot of Game 7s to get to. Like,
it tells me you've coached a lot of playoff series.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's what that tells me.
Yeah,
because like the thing is, I don't know how many coaches have coached Game 7s before. They're not 9-0. Like the coaches might be 5-4 or something.
Yes.
They may have coached those lots. NHL Game 7.
I think they said yesterday
records
on the broadcast that was the 200th Game 7 of the playoffs in NHL history.
Really?
I think so.
And he's been in 9, so he's been in.
Here we go.
Like 4.5% of them.
I've got Game 7s NHL playoff head coach records. Most Game 7 wins career. Pete DeBoer is 9-0. Daryl Sutter was 8-3. He went to 11 of them.
Wow.
Won 8 of them, but lost 3. Scotty Bowman went to 9 himself. He was 6-3. Pat Burns 6-3. Claude Julien 5-5. Peter Laviolette 5-3, Ken Hitchcock 5-2, Pat Quinn 5-4, Alain Vigneault 5-3, John Tortorella 6 is 5-1. Paul Maurice is perfect. He's 5-0.
Wow.
Jeez.
So is Tommy Ivan from Detroit. From I don't know what years that was.
Long time ago.
It's not some of the numbers of that. But yeah, so like nine's not a lot. Like 9 is pretty common, or like that's a good amount. He's just perfect.
So what do you think he does as a coach that makes him that successful in game sevens? Or is it really, is that luck?
Okay, quickly. Ron Lowe 2-0.
Oh, another
Ron Lowe 2-0 in game sevens in his career. That's a great question, Murray.
There's got to be some luck in it.
Well,
like game 7, man, anything can happen. But
him extending, like they almost lost that game, right? They had a great third period and stuff. So there's that.
Was that coaching or was that
momentum?
Players
I'd be fascinated how many of those games are at home.
Sure, that'd be,
because that would change some things of that as well. I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Sure, absolutely.
There's a luck to that though too.
Absolutely, there is. Game 7, man, it's a coin flip. We all know it. So he's won 9 coin flips. But unless he knows something that no other coach in the history of the game except for Ron Lowe and Paul Maurice.
He needs to coach. He needs to just coach his teams to game 7s, so he doesn't just keep it going. Because if it's less than that, he sometimes maybe struggles. But no, Pete DeBoer it's incredible how well he gets out of teams, but just can't get it done.
Yeah.
Outside of Florida, I guess.
Yeah.
Everywhere he's been, it's been successful.
But yeah, Florida.
I don't remember those Florida days though of Pete DeBoer.
Must not have been. I didn't.
I thought New Jersey was.
I thought Jersey was really where he kind of
hit
his stride, and he had Henrique, he had Mark Fain. Who else would have been on those teams back? Patrick Eliash, obviously. I think was Kovalchuk. Yeah, Kovalchuk would have been on those teams.
On those Devils teams, yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible contract, by the way. I think they got penalized for signing it.
They had that capture or whatever, I think. Or compliance. He just
took off on them.
But he was old when he signed it? Is that
they want him like a 17-year deal or something at the time?
It was a monster deal, and it was kind of a weird contract, and it came with some cap penalties. I can't remember specifically, but yeah, it was weird. And then who did he come back with? LA.
He was LA.
And he played in that series against Edmonton, the first one, right?
So the Thrashers, Don Waddell at the time, offered a 12-year, $101 million and a 7-year, $70 million contract. He turned it down. He was traded to the Devils. So I need to now find... I'm just trying to... contract controversy.
Yeah.
So he became an unrestricted free agent in 2010. He received offers from other teams. He agreed to a 17-year, $102 million deal with the Devils. The length of the deal broke the record for longest. However, the contract was blocked by the NHL the next day on the grounds it circumvented the salary cap.
That's right.
It was then, a contract was later done. It got approved for 15 years, $100 million. The NHL penalized the Devils for trying to circumvent the cap. The Devils were, it says, surrendered $3 million, a third-round draft pick, and one future-round pick within the next 4 years. On March of 2014, so 4 years later, the NHL announced it would forgive the part of the $3 million fine and grant the Devils the 30th pick in the first round back, I guess.
It was kind of like a slap.
And then 2013, he went to the KHL. So maybe that's why they got a slap, because he went to the KHL.
Yeah, maybe. And then he came back when?
2017-18 season.
And then, because did he not play against Edmonton in that playoff series for LA?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, maybe I got my timeline wrong.
Because, 1920. So that would have been a playoff series. No, 1920.
No, not against that.
Yeah, I guess no. Oh no, yeah. There's no playoffs. It's not even saying no playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, never mind then.
That sounds kind of similar to the Blackhawks signed Marian Hossa to a 12-year contract, where the last, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 years of the contract, it was like $1.5 million a year to get the average AAV down to the number.
Well, that was the Duncan Keith contract.
Yeah, they did that.
Didn't Roberto Luongo have something in his contract too?
Yeah.
because then the NHL added something after that said if these guys retire,
then
it still stays on your cap or something like that, or there's a penalty and things like that.
So with Jose, everyone knew that once he got done getting paid the big money, he was just going to retire, and he did because he had a skin issue. You might remember that. He has skin issues. He was not able to play, so it was LTIR for the last...
Well, Pavel Datsyuk ended his career with Chris Pronger in Arizona.
Great Coyotes.
Historic Coyotes.
Yeah.
Can't remember who else was a Coyote.
Shea Weber just got traded to the Blackhawks at the trade deadline.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah. Like... I can't wait to see him. Good veteran presence. He can booming slap shot on the Blackhawks point next year.
Already in the Hall of Fame. Come back. But you're right. I remember the Hossa thing because they would try different detergents for him and like.
It was all bullshit, wasn't it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was, but I mean, they played the game and. I mean, that's been changed now. Those loopholes is maximum 8-year contract if you sign your own guy, 7 if it's
8 before July 1.
Yeah.
Right? If you sign with your team in for agency, it can only be 7.
Right.
But I don't know. I think there's still the rule that if you're over 35 and you sign the contract and you retire, the money counts on the books still.
It does for sure.
I think that one's still there, so you can't keep those longer ones. Portions of this hour of the EST Hangout there brought to you by the High Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehighproductmarketing.com. Tommy Murray, Matt with you here on the EST Hangout, presented by Sentinel Storage, right here in Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports presented by Play Alberta. Thank you to everyone for listening live at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, tune in iHeartRadio, watching on YouTube, or for those listening to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Reminder, once again, Oilers Golden Knights tomorrow, 7:30, which means the GCLD's Oilers Stream pregame show, Tommy Hernan and Cass, gets going at 6. Tommy will be live at Boston Pizza, Westgate 170th. I would suggest calling to reserve a table.
Yes.
Things will get busy, and that's just in general, too. Just as the Oilers advance and go further, places get fuller and fuller and fuller.
And don't ask me to book your table for you.
Yeah, Tommy's not the... a couple of nasties did it last week, too.
That worked out okay. Yeah. I was already talking to Connor from Hudson's White, and I know it's limited space in there. It's not the biggest, so that worked out okay. But, yeah, don't ask me.
And don't say that every place fills up, because you know what doesn't fill up on Oiler game days? Golf courses. Already feeling a little bit. Like Thursday we pretty much never ever have empty tee times at the ranch. Mm-hmm. We had some on Thursday afternoon. It was still a pretty good day, but it was like, Oilers are playing tonight. This is what happens. Here we go.
How busy was Saturday with how nice it was?
Oh, wow. I mean, every Saturday is packed no matter what. But Saturday, people were drinking and eating a lot more than normal on Saturday, no question.
A lot of pork missiles going out at the snack shack, I can imagine.
A lot of three-putt Pilsners.
Three-putt Pilsners, oh yeah.
We got 17 degrees today, although the wind could piss off.
Yeah, it could piss off.
It was hurricane out there on the golf course yesterday.
Tuesday 22, Wednesday 27, then 15, 18, but by the weekend 22 and 21. I just want those low 20s every day.
Do you ever read Rick Riley books?
Rick Riley.
He was the Sports Illustrated golf columnist. Back page. He was great.
Yeah. So the answer is no, because I didn't know who he was.
I'm finishing one up. He's written a ton of books, obviously, but it's called So Help Me Golf. It's been sitting on my night table for like a year and a half, and I love it because it's just like a collection of different stories about golf, little anecdotes here and there. And he was talking. He had this one story where it was a guy that ended up being a congressman, I think, but he was shot down in Vietnam, and he was captured and he was put into a cell that was 6x7. And the way he stayed sane during the 7 years he was imprisoned is he would play a round of golf in his mind. He found a stick in the half hour he was allowed physical activity in the yard or whatever. He found a stick that was like the shaft of a golf club, and he hid it in his pants, and he took it into his cell, and every day he would play a round of his home course, and he would pretend to talk to his neighbors and the clubbies and everything, and he would play around, and he always shot par. But he would, and I guess like the guards would watch him and be like, this guy's a lunatic, but he was actually keeping himself and his mind active. And for 7 years, every day he played around at his home course. And when he was finally freed, they had like a huge parade for him, and apparently all the people he would say hello to on his imaginary rounds every day were still alive. We're still at his hometown, and we're still working at the course. And they were at the parade, and he went on to become a congressman, I think it was, and then went back to his golf course. And
did he shoot par when he got out and played for real?
He was. They said he was like 5 or 6 handicap.
Wow.
Yeah, but he would always end up par, and that was kind of the game he played. The mind tricks he would use.
Matty, would you be bored out of your mind if you shot par every single game you played golf?
No,
but he would walk out.
But even,
stuff.
but if I'm just trying,
pretty cool,
if I'm imagining it myself, like I guess if I'm going to shoot par like 72, you'd change how the holes play.
Yeah, some days.
This day I hit it. I'm in the bunker.
Yeah.
And maybe I get a miracle shot out and I get a nice par, or I bogey this hole today and then the next hole I'm gonna birdie. Like you're gonna. There's ways to mix it up and still finish 72 every round.
Some days you make 18 pars. Some days you make 6 birdies, 6 pars, and 6 bogeys.
Yeah.
Some days it's just a tough. Like if you're there, it's today's a tough day. I'm scrambling a lot.
Yeah.
I'm in the rough and I'm having to play. Some days it's just down the fairway. Put it 5, or 10 feet. Put it nice and tight. Putt it. Those type of things. You could mix it up.
You'd be pissed if you did shot par every single day. You would, because you would be so angry that you didn't get under.
Yeah.
Like, why did I miss that last birdie putt? I could have been under par today.
Yeah, I think after like maybe a year, I could start shooting 69 or 71.
Well, you've been working
and then the
on
next
your
year,
game.
I've been working on my game. I'm still at 72 7 years later. What's going on here?
Exactly. You need improvement somewhere in there.
Yeah, you're playing every day, man.
So after a year or two, maybe instead of 72, drop down to a 71.
Right, because you get bored, because it's like, well, I know I'm going to shoot 72 today, so why do I even need to do it? Except hang out with your buddies, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's the challenge, right?
Drink some 3-putt Pilsners.
3-putt Pilsners. I'm not done this chapter, but he had this crazy idea to play the 18 most renowned or exotic holes in the world. He pitched it to his editor, who was a golf crazy editor, and his editor said, yeah, go do it. So he was traveling all around the world. He said he got about halfway through, and then his editor moved on, and then the new guy was more of a tennis guy, and he said, no, okay, you can't travel around the world. So, but I think he eventually finished it. So I think I'm only like 4 holes in, because each hole he has like a full page breakdown of it. And I can't remember where he was, but one of the holes is infamous for the monkeys going and stealing your
Really?
balls.
I haven't heard of that one.
And he said the first 2 times he played it, no monkeys came and stole his ball on the green. But then I was there late, and I'm like, I need a monkey to steal the ball, because like everybody talks about the monkey stealing your ball. He said the 3rd time through,
It happened.
he took an extra shot, put it on the green, and sure enough, a little monkey scampered down, plucked it, and walked away with it.
Wow.
He's like, it was worth it just for that to happen.
I want that to be my retirement gig. I'll do that.
That'd be amazing.
That would be an amazing thing to do.
He said always travel east and then work your way around, or because he was based out of Denver, so he started like East Coast, then he went over to Europe, then he went down to I think Africa, and then worked his way that way, and then finally came back LA, and then back to Denver.
Wow. That story of the monkeys reminded me of one time my wife and I were playing at Jasper Park Lodge with we got paired with 2 staff members of the golfer. Or sorry, not staff members. They were members. They lived in Jasper, and we get to the 9th hole, and there's this black bear on the green.
Ooh.
And we're like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do here? And they, don't worry about that bear. What do you mean, don't worry about that bear? He said, yeah, he lays on the green all the time. And then when people come up to putt, he just goes and sits up in the trees and watches you putt, and then walks back down and lays on the green again.
Weird. Oh, that's like, cool though.
Holy. And so that's what happened. Like, I was a little nervous, but
Black bears are more scared of humans.
yeah.
Those are the bears
How
to be
big
around.
is it?
I don't really remember. It wasn't a big one. How do you say how
was a
big a bear is?
teenager type thing.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a massive bear. Like, I think you could have taken it, but
Good. Well, I'm freaking Wolverine. One more golf from this book. I don't want to give away the whole book. There's so many great stories in it. But this guy, Mike Kaiser, have you heard of him?
I believe I've heard that name.
He's the owner of like Bandon Dunes. He has a whole bunch of them. He made his money selling like greeting cards, and so he's a huge golf nut. Apparently, he's not a great golfer. He's okay, but he uses clubs from like the 80s or 90s, and he insists on walking his courses, and he designs his courses to be walked. And he's got like I think he has Cabot Links is one of his, and Cabot Cliffs are his courses.
New Cabot and Revelstoke probably too. That's
probably
up next year. Yeah.
And they were saying how like his philosophy behind golf and his vision for these courses is like top tier, right? Like these are some of the best courses in the world. And I guess Trump hates him because this Kaiser guy has all the best courses, and Trump's courses are all like phony, like 100-foot waterfalls. Like, you know what? We're gonna put a 100-foot waterfall on the 9th green here. It's like, why? You don't need it. Like, and so there's this dichotomy between the two of them. One guy's all flash and panache, but it's hollow, and then this Kaiser guy who has all the money in the world walks the courses, uses old crappy clubs, and insists on staying true to golf. It's really fascinating. Like this Rick Riley, like not only that, he's super entertaining in interviews too. But I highly recommend this book. Now I want to go golfing. Can I come out golf today?
You could play 9 holes in the gap between our public and our men's league.
I might be. No, I don't.
That's all you can do today.
Breaking news from Elliot Freeman. There's word this morning Rob Blake and the LA Kings have mutually agreed to part ways.
Wow. Okay. How long has he been there for? It's been a while.
10 years.
Yeah, they've been there for a long time.
It's been a while.
Have been there a while.
Really? It's been that long?
Yeah.
I liked him as a player.
Yeah. Oh, great
Excellent
player, yeah.
He was fun to watch. When did he take over as the GM? Before the 2013-14 season, he was the assistant GM.
When Lombardi was there.
2017, he was named as the president and GM of the team.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Like there's a lot of jobs open in hockey right now, like a lot of coaching gigs and yeah, like it'd be interesting to see who they get there. But if you look at it like obviously I'm
Ken Holland
stalking out the coaching market a lot because my Hawks are looking for a coach.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that really excites me. We wanted David Carl.
Where's he going again?
He's staying put in
college.
College, yeah.
Wow.
And then obviously Sullivan lands in New York 10 minutes after he got let go. So, but you look at the rest of the lineup of coaches. I'm not that intrigued. Like, you want to know who I think the front runner is in Chicago right now?
Who?
Jay Woodcroft.
His
name's popped up a
Anaheim.
few places.
He interviewed in Anaheim. He's getting consideration in Vancouver. We had Pagnotta on Hello Hockey, as always, on Saturdays, 10 to noon. And he was saying, yeah, Woodcroft linked to Vancouver and Anaheim has interviewed. Can't remember which
so
one.
So quiet. Davidson in Chicago keeps his mouth shut, so no one knows who he's talking to. Yeah, the only person he leaks to is Sarah Volley. So if Sarah Volley says something, it's
and Frank's leaving Daily Face-Off. That was announced. He announced that today. Oh,
what?
You didn't hear me? Okay, I didn't say it loud enough. He before the Hangout, he tweeted that as of July 1, he's going to be a free agent, as he calls himself.
Wow.
That his time with Daily Faceoff's winding down. My decision, he said. It's been an incredible journey building a premier hockey media brand, and I'm grateful for every second. Like many in hockey, I'm a free agent on July 1. Can't wait to dig in on my next adventures. Stay tuned. That was his tweet.
They gave him big bucks. Daily Faceoff. Big bucks. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, he's going to turn up somewhere big. Yeah, he's good. He knows his stuff.
I'll say Jay Woodcroft needs a job this summer.
Well, if he doesn't, he's not getting one.
Well, that's you didn't get one last summer. If you don't get one this year,
he's done. Yeah.
You're going to have to become an assistant or
go
an AHL head coach if you're going to want to be a head coach again.
I think he gets one.
Yeah, he probably
there's
will,
enough openings.
He's
got to have one.
But there's not a lot of, you want Tortorella? Nope.
That's so no. People talk about Joel Quenneville again.
Yeah, he's interviewed, and it sounds like that's the name I'm hearing, front runner for Anaheim. But
makes sense.
Like Rick Tocchet
I'm not a fan of Rick as a
anything for me. I don't want him.
And he's like the number one coaching commodity right now.
I don't get
How?
it though. He was the number one coaching commodity going into Vancouver too, and I didn't understand it.
How? He took Vancouver fairly far last year when the Oilers beat him. What else besides nothing?
Well, he got the Coyotes with a crappy budget and crappy players to the playoffs that
to
year.
the playoffs, but
that was a fluky kind of weird thing. I don't know. He was. You're right, Matty. He kind of remember he had Tampa briefly. It didn't go well, and then he ended up being an assistant. He was with Pittsburgh for the back-to-back cups, and then people were like, "This guy is ready." Remember, like Botterill was an assistant GM, and like there was this exodus of Penguins, successful Penguins front office staff and coaching staff that went elsewhere, and Tocchet was part of that.
Tocchet is a guy to me that he will get the most out of his team for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But he's the new age John Tortorella. He's not to come year through whatever. You're going to be moving on from him anyways.
He's great to talk to, Tocchet.
I can see
Tortorella, I will say.
Well, no, some of the media love Tortorella. Behind like TV people.
I don't see
TV
it.
people.
Yeah, I mean that
when he goes to the TSN, the people that worked with him at TSN love them.
When you get him in that scenario, and there have been players that are like, he's a great guy, and I'm like, well, he's an a-hole to everybody else, so screw him. I don't like his antics.
I agree with you.
I stand by. I'm not a Tortorella guy. I stand by that.
I'm fine with it. Just don't go be running to go on TV once you don't have a job. That's where I get annoyed. No, now you also want to be part of the media? Go away.
Yeah.
That's if you don't, you're not going to then jump to the media. I get it. Then if you want to be that prickly guy to the media, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But the moment that it's gone, you jump there now. It's
Manny Malhotra is the name I'm hearing in Vancouver the most.
Manny Malhotra. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
He's kind of a guy that put his head down, got to work, and
The Kings have made it official.
there you go.
Just heads up that Rob Brake and the team have mutually agreed to part. It was announced today by President Luc Robitaille.
Yeah.
So it being announced by Luc Robitaille tells me
those
Luc's
guys are
sticking
tight
around.
too, though. Robitaille and that's interesting.
They were always beside each other during the playoffs. I saw him in the district, obviously at the rink, but Luc Robitaille, man, he's got like ghost white hair now.
Oh, does he?
It doesn't look right.
I got two coaching names for you guys that I'm kind of intrigued by and get your guys' opinion on them. Jeff Halpern, assistant coach in Tampa Bay, and blast from the Oilers past. I'm intrigued by Todd Nelson to get a job this summer.
Todd needs to get a job.
I'm rooting for Nelly.
Yeah,
I think he did a great job with the Oilers when he was the interim coach here.
That was a mess.
And he won games though.
Yep.
He was
they
winning.
like playing for him.
One of the stories is he's a terrible interview and stuff. I really want to see Todd Nelson get a head coaching job because in the American Hockey League, he's been great.
He wins a lot of titles.
He deserves a shot.
So he's clearly good. Clearly successful in building a championship team. He's in the AHL, so he's clearly good at developing young talent.
He got the most of Anton Lander. Anton Lander produced in the American Hockey League, and then that part of the season when Todd Nelson was the head coach here in Edmonton, Anton Lander produced actually.
Tony Lander and Todd Nelson had a very good rapport. I remember Nelly telling me, he's like, Anton Lander's the best guy. And then I was like, you know what? Anton Lander is the best guy. He's a great dude. But that's what Nelly does. He's a player's coach. Like the finer details, X's and O's, I think that's less his MO and forte. But if you have good assistants that can handle that stuff, he's a guy. He's like a leader of men. You can rally behind Nelly.
Here's his minor league record as a coach. Just what he's produced.
It's unbelievable.
He won the Colonial Cup back-to-back years with the Muskegon Fury or something. Muskegon Fury. So that was his first 2 years in minor league that Wikipedia has for me.
Yep.
So this goes back to 03-04, but won back-to-back titles. Lost in the second round, lost in division semifinals, lost in conference finals, Those two conference finals were with the OKC Barons.
Yep.
Lost in the conference quarterfinals, lost in the division finals, won the Calder Cup with Grand Rapids, lost in division semifinals, won Calder with the Hershey Bears in 22, 23, 23, 24. That's what it has.
And they're good right now, Hershey again.
And with the Oilers, in 14-15, he coached 51 games, according to the Wikipedia. I don't know if they took out the MAC-T days.
The MAC-T, that was weird, yeah.
17 wins, 25 losses, 9 OT losses. He had a .422 points percentage. For that 14-15 team, That was good.
That was a bad team. I remember the day Nelly got promoted and they fired Dallas Aikens and Mac T stepped in briefly. It was like 20 games into the season and Edmonton was brutal. I think it was early November. Do you have it?
No, I have. He had 17 wins in 51 games.
Yeah.
Credited for the Oilers. The Oilers that year in 82 games had 24 wins.
Yeah.
Aikens and Mac T through the 31 games had 7.
Yeah.
He came on and he won 17 in 51.
I remember that day.
Bring up the roster. Who was here?
Well, so that day they fire Dallas. We were flying to Phoenix. And I don't think I went to the rink. I just went straight to the airport. But I get to the plane and Jack stopped at the rink before going to the airport. And I was like, how was the rink? He goes, I think Justin Schultz did cartwheels all the way from the arena to the airport. That's how happy he was. Like, it was such a relief for some of those guys.
To get him gone.
Yeah. There was Matt Hendricks, David Perron, Justin Schultz, Taylor Hall, Jordan Eberle, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Sam Gagner, I think, was still there.
It's not that terrible a team.
Jordan Eberle, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Taylor Hall, Benoit Pouliot, Teddy Purcell, Neil Yakupov, Justin Schultz, Derek Roy, Anton Lander, who I'm assuming this is when the call-up happened at 38 games, 20 points. Like, he didn't do that in his career. Oscar Klefbon, David Perron, Matt Hendricks. Perron was there for 38 games. Jeff Petrie, Andrew Ferentz, Boyd Gordon, Mark Arcabello, Nikita Nikitin, Matt Fraser, Leon Draisaitl, Mark Fain, Andrew Miller, Martin Marinson, Jesse Yoansu.
Jesse Yoansu.
Steve Pinizzato.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Gaz. Rob Klinkhammer.
Colonel.
Pakarinen, Brad Hunt, Tyler Pitlick, Ryan Hamilton, David Musil. This is at least one game play.
Okay.
Kevin Ollie, Jordan Osterley, Curtis Hamilton, Bogdan Yakimov.
Oh,
he played one game.
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse played 2 games. Will Acton played 3. They had Ben Scrivens, Victor Faust were the main 2 goalies, but they also had Richard Bachman.
Great guy.
Laurent Passois for a game, and Tyler Bunz for a game.
I remember when
Medicine
Bunsey
Hat
went
Tiger.
in. Yeah.
So the season started with, they were 0-4-1. They lost their first 5 games. One was a shootout. They won 4 in a row after that. And then it was loss, 4 straight losses, 2 wins, loss, OT loss, loss. Those last 2 were OTs, loss, OT loss, win.
Yep.
And that was home to San Jose. Then they went to San Jose and lost. Lost.
There's a lot of drinking that season, I remember.
For you or for everybody?
Everybody.
But then you go into the new year, and there's a lot of wins and greens in there. I got to look up Anton Lander's career.
Tony.
This is the 14-15 Edmonton Oilers.
Can I tell a Bogdan Yakimov story?
Please.
Okay, so Bogdan Yakimov, big, skilled Russian guy, but like difficulty adapting to North America. So he was down in Bakersfield, and Oklahoma City, and everybody lived. Most of the guys, if you weren't an older guy, like Josh Green, I remember bought a home, and but most of the younger guys would stay. It was called the Lincoln. It was a apartment condo complex. It was like 8 different buildings, 2 pools. And so when I lived there, I lived at the Lincoln where all the players were too. Anyway, Yakimov had a place, and we were at practice like the next day, and it might have even been Nelly. We were just like shooting the breeze, and they're like, "Did you hear how Bogdan did his steak yesterday?" And I'm like, "No, why would I know about what he had for dinner?" And he goes, "Well, he had a steak, and we asked how he cooked it, if he had a grill or not. He said, no, I put it in the microwave."
Oh.
So there you go.
From raw.
Yeah.
From raw in a microwave.
Yeah.
If it's seasoned, well, maybe.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You would want somebody to help him or whatever, but he was on his own and microwaved a steak for dinner.
Did he say how it was?
No. I imagine it was great.
Anton Lander, in his American Hockey League career, 20 points in 47 games, 52 points in 46 games, 31 points in 29 games, 55 points in 42 games. Like, it was an AHL.
He was their captain.
He was great.
Eventually, yeah.
In the NHL, he had 35 points in 215 games. I did the math. Taking away 14-15 season, he played 177 NHL games and he only had 15 points. That's 0.08 points per game. In that 14-15 season, with Todd Nelson as his coach, it was 20 points in 38 games, which was 0.5 points per game. Wow. Like, I don't know what it was. He was Todd Nelson was the Anton Lander whisperer.
They got along very well. That was Nelly. Anton Lander was Nelly's guy.
It just worked out.
Yeah. If Todd Nelson gets hired by a team as a head coach, Anton Lander will be on that. I'm just kidding. He's not going to be on
He's only 34. Might as well. You're the Chicago Blackhawks.
Bring him back.
For this year.
Whoa. Chicago's not going to have anybody over 19 on their team next year.
Exactly. Have one for Anton Lander. You need one veteran. Bring on Anton Lander. Yeah. He'll be a 40-point scorer next year for the Chicago Blackhawks if Todd Nelson is their head coach. This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada storage experts, more than 2 decades helping Canadians through life's transitions. Canadian storage provider. Mother's Day deal on right now. 50% off 12 weeks on all units, or you can get 75% off 8 weeks on 10x10 units, or for select units, it is 4 weeks free. Convenient locations nearest you. Sentinel.ca. Lock Shop coming up at 11 o'clock. We got the Oil Stream. We got EST Afternoons. We got the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. That's all to come here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I do want to get to Over and Under, which is brought to you by Play Alberta. Promo codes on right now. Deposit 20 or more for a $100 free bet on sports, or enter code YEG50 to receive $50 free bet when you make a $5 minimum deposit. Dusty has the early bet up with the EST specials on playalberta.com. Jay's going to have his play of the day in there a little bit later. I think it hit on Friday, his play of the day. And then there will be the Grand EST bet from our listeners, the DGen Den. That will be up there a little bit later.
Love it.
3 Canadian teams remain in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Over under 1.5 will make it through to the third round, the conference finals. So over is 2 or 3 of them are making it to the conference finals. Under is only 1 or none of them are making it to the conference.
I'm under.
I'll take under.
Yeah.
Jets lose, Stars beat them, and Panthers beat the Leafs. Is that where we're going here?
I think Edmonton beats Vegas.
Yeah. What's your bet? Are you over or under?
There's something that I hate saying this.
Don't say Toronto's going to beat Florida.
Say it.
Don't.
You dirty
There's
dog.
something about Toronto this year that I don't understand, and it's working. Toronto over.
Oh,
Ew.
my God.
But you said it.
I know.
Stir it.
There's something about
Stir it up.
this whole season. They've won their division. Like, okay, this is the round. Here's the thing. Here's the crazy part. They win this, they're going to the Stanley Cup final. I'm not saying they're winning the Stanley Cup final. They're getting to the Cup final.
I used to like you. I can't believe you're.
I know.
I can't believe you're doing this.
Maybe I'll be wrong.
No, you better be wrong.
I'm not going to knock on the wall and hope I'm wrong. This one I'm not. There's studs somewhere.
I mean, I would love it to be over because I think it'd be cool if Winnipeg and Oilers could play in the Western Conference Final. That'd be great, and then the Canadian team's going to the Cup. But
flip side to that is maybe Hellebuck just needs that series win.
If Dallas is also going to get Robertson and Heiskanen back this series,
potentially, but Ottinger hasn't exactly been in the playoffs. Like, you go the last couple of years.
He's been good this year, hasn't he? Like, I think he's
been fine. I don't think he's like. I think Ottinger had that amazing. Like, he's a very good goalie. I'm not diminishing that part of him here, but I think when it comes to the playoffs, he had that one great year against the Calgary Flames a couple years ago, where he was absolutely incredible, and he's then been a little shaky in that since then in the playoffs to a degree.
Yeah, I had in my mind that the Four Nations was going to be the turning point for him, that he played well under pressure there. But obviously that thought was wrong because what the heck? I don't know. It's so weird. He's so good, and then he's so bad in the playoffs. I don't get it.
Look up Jake Ottinger.
I think his stats were going to be pretty good because, man, they should not have beaten Colorado. He's got to be a massive factor in that when you see these stats. Now it's going to be 8-12.
Career playoffs. Here's what I'll do. I want to find him in the playoffs this year. .833 save percentage, .919 save percentage, .964, .912, .929, .891, .926.
Yeah, so he was a star.
His career in the playoffs, he's a .915 save percentage.
Yeah. That's a good goalie right there.
4 goals allowed, 3 goals allowed, 1 goal allowed, 3 goals allowed, 2-5-2. It's had a pretty good playoffs.
Yeah. He's
beatable.
Great.
He's beatable.
They beat him last year.
Yes, they did. Okay, a few texts have come into the inbox, 780-218-9999.
They almost got worse last year.
This one says, they're going to need body bags for the Leaves after this round. I like that. Good use of Leaves.
I like it.
And then another one says, it's Craig Berube. He added some old-fashioned heart to the Leafs. Got to give him credit for that. And then this one says, I still use an Anton Lander helmet I bought at a locker room sale for Rec League Hockey.
You guys ready for some breaking news?
Yep. More breaking news.
You're just on top of it today.
Yeah, I'm on top of Twitter. Reiner Schogg says this one. Pickard. He's in the starter's net for line rushes. Skinner at the other end. Lines and pairs look the same. I believe there was another report yesterday that Skinner was starting. They got that one wrong.
It didn't come from EST.
Did not.
No.
No, we took Sunday off. Except for you.
Yeah,
You and Stalker were going with Zach.
Pickard is in the starter's net. So
it's the only thing that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, it would have to be so insane as a coach to go to a guy that just won 4 games and go in a row and go, yeah, you're not starting the next game in the playoffs.
Isn't it a bit silly, though, that we had a fraction of time where that was like discussed and debated?
Yes.
It's a bit silly.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Even guys who I don't want to believe Skinner's people have been too hard on Skinner.
Yeah.
I'll say for the two of you.
I'm one of those.
Yeah, no,
that
but
believes that.
you guys were both saying, yeah, Pickard starts.
Pickard starting.
Like it's
like,
there's no defense of like there are people trying to make like, well, this is if you know you've pointed out at some point we probably will see Skinner in this series. Sure. Do you do that in the first game when there's the rest of the series to play?
No.
But no, Pickard earned this.
There was like this reset, give him a reset. No. You go with the guy who's getting it done until he doesn't get it done, and you go to the other guy.
So that story's now gone.
Yeah.
Good.
Don't even have to wait till tomorrow.
It was.
I don't think, unless Christian Alblok goes to the podium today and says, "I don't know who my starter is."
Could you imagine though if he was ballsy enough to make that move? And
Yeah.
Well, if they win, everyone would praise him.
yeah, exactly.
If they lost, there would be a lot of criticism
absolutely.
on him. No matter how, like even if it wasn't Skinner's fault,
Yeah.
it'd be, well, this team, why would you go away from something that worked?
Exactly. Yeah, that would have been ballsy. But we all know that Skinner is, when he gets these resets or whatever you want to call it, he bounces back and plays well. And he's going to, when he does get back in the net, he's going to want to not get out of it. So I feel like he's going to play really well when he comes back and for a period of time for sure. But I don't know. It absolutely was not the right time to put him back in right now. So.
Skinner, just a quick refresher. After Pickard played those 2 games against Vancouver, a win and a loss, and they put Skinner back in, he was good.
Really good.
He was really good against Dallas. Got the job done against Vancouver, and I know they started really poorly against. Not started poorly. Didn't get the results in the Stanley Cup final for the first 3 games, but, and again in the losses in the Cup final, I think the Oilers only scored 1 goal and got shut out in one of them. Yeah. And then the other games were the offense exploded, especially Game 6. That was wild. That was a crazy night at Rogers Place.
Their offense is going to need to explode again now because they got to. I mean, to me, that's what happened with the Kings. They just started outscoring their problems and got it done. But it was also nice to see though that it wasn't just Connor and Leon.
Yeah.
There was some depth scoring that came through in that series. So obviously very good to see.
Agreed. What do you got, Matthew?
Well, I'm just trying to remember, because I was just going to switchly say that. I believe today is rookie camp.
For the
Elks. I think it was today.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm just trying to look.
And Mike Curry had their last round of the year.
Last
round of golf before the start of training camp. They're like, we're not going to be able to play for at least a
because
month.
next Sunday is opening of training camp.
Yeah.
On field sessions, I believe, are next Sunday and stuff. So the season gets going like right away here for the Edmonton Elks. The Stingers get going on Sunday as well. They play on the 11th down at it's a Battle of Alberta here in Edmonton. So the Stinger season is going. The Riverhawks aren't that far
Excellent.
away. So we're in that. We got it last year, and we're in that window right now, potentially here, where
All four?
everything's happening
Yeah.
in the sports teams here in Edmonton.
Yeah, it is Monday for sure because I got today because the coaches wanted to come out and play golf on Friday for their last game of the year before they got busy. So last game of the year for them too for a while.
And that's at the Ranch Golf and Country Club.
Remember, Danny Kepley, he used to have this when he was coaching with the team. He had to play golf on the day before a football game. And so every morning before they played, he needed to get out and play like bright and early in the morning so he could get it back in the office. But that was just a part of his structure and routine in his world.
I respect that very much.
Jen, and this is something that other people have said, but Jen goes in the nasty chat. I do agree that the Oilers play better in front of Pickard, but when is the best time to start Skinner? So Pickard has a bad game, and let's say it's game 4. Do we trust Skinner will start that well? My take on that, 2 things I would say. One is you don't worry about that until it happens, because it might not happen. What if, flip side is what if Pickard plays well, and you don't have to go to Skinner, like hypothetically.
Yeah.
You deal with it game by game basis. I also agree, though, what we've seen out of Skinner is that when he comes in, he plays well. That if it's game 4, I'd say the Oilers win game 1, and then Pickard loses 2 in a row, and the Oilers are like, we need to make a goalie change. I do trust Skinner at that point.
Yeah.
I do.
I think the whole concept of the team plays better in front of Pickard is a bit of a myth.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Eric Stevens, we had him on from LA Kings reporter.
Yeah.
His a neutral eye. He said when I was chatting with him on the Rebuild Control last week he says, to me it looks like the Oilers play better in front of Pickard. From a complete neutral eye.
How does that make any sense though?
I don't think they do.
Like to me, if they're playing better defensively in front of Pickard, that probably means that they trust that Stewart's a better goaltender and they don't feel like they have to play as sound defensively in front of him.
That is possible. That's one reason why you'd play better in front of one goal or the other.
Right.
You feel like you have to tighten up because the goalie behind you
Isn't as good.
The flip side to that is you don't trust the goalie behind you to a degree, so you think more and you make dumb mistakes, which then goes the other way and you leave your goalie out to dry.
There were a few games Pickard got
happens.
lit up this year too. I think we're forgetting those.
Yeah. Well, 3 of the 4 games this series, his save percentage was in the 850s.
Yeah.
So it's not like he played great.
Yeah.
Like you said, okay, timely saves here
Clutch
and there,
saves.
but
I
Sure.
think it's just a matter of when he let those goals in and when he didn't, and that's the difference.
There was at one point in Game 6, there was 4 goals on 12 shots, and the Kings had 2 goals on 4 shots.
Yeah.
At that point,
That's not good goaltending.
no, at both ends. But yeah, exactly.
But the argument would be if it was Skinner, you'd be saying, well, he didn't have a chance on those shots.
Well, yeah, I'd have to go back and look at them.
Those were not great goals, but
I
that's-
remember, Twitter blew up on the second goal about how terrible it was. I remember that. But
There was
I don't remember the goals.
compounding
fully.
errors in front of
yeah,
Calvin Pickard.
We have another 2 weeks of talking about goaltending and defense.
why only
forwards.
2 weeks?
Well, at least it extends by 2 weeks.
Okay, so 2 weeks because
We got another. Well,
you're suggesting they could
The
lose.
window goes by 2 more. It's 2 more weeks, and then if they win, then it's another 2, and then if they win, it's a 3.
Because the first round was 11 days for.
Is that how it ended up being?
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you add an extra couple days if it was a game 7.
And today I'm in the mode that you guys used to be very used to, but now I'm used to it. It's draft lottery day.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Which they're
draft
doing
lottery.
live or something for the first time ever, or
are
something
they?
like that.
I thought, that's not going to be done elsewhere, and they just tell you what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to draft lottery live. Like, I want to understand how that's going to work. It'll be held live on TV, will be really compelling for fans, they say. The number 1 pick will choose in real time. So I'm fascinated how they're doing the draw. Because, like, if you go back and watch the McDavid one, because they filmed it and they posted it, every team has, like, a certain number of numbers that they own.
Combinations, yeah.
Yes, and when it lands on that, then that team wins. It's not like it's a team ball that pops up and they're like, oh, the Chicago Blackhawks get the number 1 pick because this is the ball that pops up, and there were 16 of them in there or something like that.
Right.
So I'm fascinated how if they're going to stick with the combination numbers or if they're going to switch this up, because I don't know of any league that does that. Like, well, there's only 2 leagues that do the draft lottery. I don't think the NBA just flips cards too.
That's the way I remember.
This is kind of cool for the NHL. Like if it works, like I think people would want to see it done live.
Yeah, they can't rig it if it's live, right?
Yeah, they.
Well, actually, the NBA did used to do it live. And it was possibly
stopped.
rigged.
Yeah.
It was they took the cards out of a
frozen
bowl,
card?
and it was the frozen card with Patrick Ewing to the New York Knicks. That the Knicks card was frozen, so David Stern knew which one not to take or take early or something.
Yeah.
So that when he pulled it up, it was the Knicks got Patrick Ewing and no one else did. That was the conspiracy.
Wow. Well, 2 years ago, I was on the edge of my seat because we got Connor Bedard. We won the lottery to move from 3 to 1. I don't want to win the lottery this time. I want to stay number 2.
Why?
2 reasons. Because in all likelihood, Schaefer is going to get picked number 1, and we don't need another defenseman in our prospect pool. We've got lots. Thank you very much. So I want Michael Misa, which if San Jose picks 1, they'll take Schaefer because they need deep prospects.
Yeah.
We'll get Misa at number 2. And if the Blackhawks win the lottery today, you're only allowed to win the lottery twice in a 5-year period, and then you're not allowed to win it again for 5 years. So if the Blackhawks win tonight, they move up. So San Jose can win it because they're not moving up.
Right.
And because they won it last year, and if they win it again this year, they're not moving up. So it doesn't count in this. But the Blackhawks moved up from 3 to 1 for Bedard. If they move up from 2 to 1 in this one, then they can't win the draft lottery or move up in the draft lottery for 5 years. And the Blackhawks are going to be better next year. They're still going to be a lottery team, I think, maybe 8th to 10th last place. But there's this player, McKenna, that's Connor Bedard's cousin, that's pretty good. I wouldn't mind getting him at number 1 and get lucky next year.
Flip side to winning it this year, you could always trade down and try to grab some assets. I know it doesn't happen.
We got lots of assets, though. We got 1 million draft picks. But
I'm not. This doesn't have to be draft picks. You can go get a roster player.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen. We got Florida's number 1 next year. Toronto's number 1 this year. I'll be stunned if we actually make those picks. Yeah.
Oh, Sportsnet announcing the play-by-play assignments.
Okay.
Chris Cuthbert, Craig Simpson, Kalpu Koskis, Florida, Toronto.
Yep.
Jack, Louis, Gene, Oilers, Vegas, Golden Knights. John Bartlett, Gary Galley, and Scott Oak, Dallas, and Winnipeg.
So Harner Ryan doesn't have an assignment.
Correct. And Drew Mindell from Ice Illegal Curve, which is out in Winnipeg. He wants Harder Ryan. He's saying no disrespect to the names below, but we want Harder Ryan. So the Jets fans wanted him and liked him.
Oh, Harner Ryan, first of all, he's a great guy, but he's gotten better. I know Oilers fans didn't like him, but...
I'll just give this heads up to Oilers fans. Just be prepared that should the Leafs get knocked out and the Oilers advance, you will get Craig Simpson and Chris Cuthbert. And should there be a Stanley Cup final, Oilers Leafs, I know it will be Craig Simpson, Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson. Yeah, that's the number 1 play-by-play crew.
I have a question for you guys about the broadcast. Jack's a very good friend of mine. We got hired by the Oilers the same week. Louis has become a good friend, has been for a long time, and Gene's my uncle. But this is the playoffs. These are all national games.
Yeah.
Those guys are all national caliber or better broadcasters. But did it feel too much like a regional game?
It was a regional game, yes.
Yeah.
You have to take yourself out of it as an Oilers fan.
And I think those guys do a good job of that, but...
that's Oilers broadcast.
Yeah.
The question is, my question, if the Oilers weren't in the playoffs, would Jack still be doing play-by-play?
No.
For Hockey Night?
The answer is no.
And this is an Oilers broadcast. Now, is he good enough to do other hockey? 100%
Absolutely.
he is. 100% he is. But no, this is your Oilers broadcast.
Yeah.
Now, I guess you could argue Craig Simpson, Chris Cuthbert, they do Leafs all the time. That's their regional thing. But we also see them, they did Oilers and Panthers last year in the Stanley Cup final because that's what they do.
Forget that CC was CBC Edmonton before he made the jump full-time to Hockey Night.
Craig Simpson used to be the Oilers regional guy.
And assistant coach.
And then he went to the assistant coach.
Yeah, do we forget this?
My question,
I forgot. Well, Oilers were lucky with some color guys too. They had Ray Ferraro for a while.
People complain about Ray.
People complain about Ray.
They complain about Ray.
People in Edmonton complain about way too much.
Yes, that's true.
But here's my question to you on that though, Matty, is it's Oilers broadcast because you're from Edmonton and it's what you're used to. If you were tuning in from a different market and you're tuning in, is it coming across as an Oilers broadcast?
I think it would come across homerish.
That's
to a
why
degree.
I asked that.
Yeah.
I saw some tweets about that.
You did, hey?
Yeah.
from locals though,
No.
or from okay? Well, then that's fair. Yeah, because if it's what you're used to, of course that's
Well, and the flip side. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jack is an Oiler employee.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a Sportsnet employee.
No.
So I understand that. The people that sign his paycheck, it goes OEG,
Yeah.
not Rogers Sportsnet.
Correct.
And that's a big difference to me. Louis DeBrusque would be the opposite.
Correct.
He is Sportsnet one.
But those guys are embedded and tied in with the team so much.
Absolutely. But I do understand if you're going to put those guys on the broadcast, it is going to have an Oiler feel.
Yeah.
I just like if you are, and I know Oiler fans don't care, but if you're a Canucks fan, if you're a Flames fan, if you're a Jets fan, if you're anyone in this country that isn't an Oiler fan and you watch that, I could see how you go, this is so pro Oilers right now.
Yeah. Well, and when Jack goes to TV, I love that the Oilers got Cam Moon in the fold to do the play-by-play on radio because
awesome.
Mooner's so awesome too.
I'm so glad he got to
Such a
call
good
his
guy.
first NHL playoff games ever this year.
That's awesome. He's good. He does a good job.
You have to watch him when he's calling a game too. He like leans in and he's like on the desk and he pulls back and he's like, and then he hits Bob and Bob wakes up. Mooner's awesome. Mooner was the perfect guy for that job, and they did a great job hiring him. And he's the perfect go-between Bob and Jack.
Yeah, couldn't agree
Glue guy.
more.
Yeah.
He is.
Glue guy. There's already
No,
There
He's
can't
their
be more
glue
than
guy.
one glue guy.
We have our glue crew, but that's their.
I don't think Cam has a lot of bad things to say about many people in the world.
No.
Like his list of people he'd maybe badmouth, very small.
But when
Yeah.
when you're on that list, well, look out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's funny.
It's part of the best part of the Edmonton Riverhawks. Love the Riverhawks and everything they do. If I get to spend some days with Cam Moon, it's always wonderful.
Section I gang.
And Cam's getting the love today.
The official drink of the EST Hangout is the Finnish long drink. Legend in 1952. A drink unlike any other sparkling refreshment, real liquor, longdrink.com/Canada.
Wow.
Right into the monitor.
Terrible.
As where you can go enter your postal code and find a liquor store and establishment nearest you with the long drink. And Oiler games, there's at least 2 more coming up. You can pick up the Finnish long drink down at Rogers Place with their deal with OEG. Cam Moon is underrated, in my opinion, on the radio. CC and Simpson are very pro Leafs as pancakes too. I disagree on that. I feel like they get ripped by everyone for being pro everyone.
Yeah.
Like the Leafs fans think that they're too hard on the Leafs and they don't talk enough about Leafs. I think they are just fantastic.
You want to know who's pro Leafs? Joe Bowen.
Yeah,
There you go.
he's their play-by-play guy.
Yeah. Radio.
Who they didn't travel for a long time.
I keep
this
seeing
season.
somebody keeps putting up
Howard
these-
Berger it's made his post ads for some reason.
I know, and I'm like, why is this? I get it. Like it's It's a terrible decision. It's everywhere where Lou Lamoriello has gone. He's left this trail in his wake of like the media doesn't travel with the team, even if they're team employees and team broadcasters. It's ridiculous. It costs more. It's harder. Just get them on the damn plane.
Well, and they didn't go. I think it was later in the series, but they didn't even do the Ottawa series.
That's
It's up the road.
Yes.
Pay the train ticket. Give them the
Just
cash
send
for the
them.
train if you want. Like it's
your broadcast. You're making money off of it. Send your guys.
It can't be the same doing it, watching a TV
It's
monitor.
not.
It's not.
It can't,
I remember
it can't come
talking to
across
Mooner
as
about
good,
it
yeah.
because Mooner, during COVID, they obviously couldn't travel
Right.
at the time. And I was trying to learn like what he's like when there's a delayed penalty, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like you could sit there and see something, you could be like, that's a hook. But you don't get to see if the ref puts his hand up.
Oh man, yeah, that's a great point.
Or you can be like, oh, there's a penalty. Well, why is there a penalty? I didn't see anything. When did the hand go up and stuff? So like even something like that, you don't get to see it.
There's the goalie getting pulled. You can't see the goalie
see it.
skating to the bench.
Yeah.
You're at the whatever cameras you get,
Yeah.
you're stuck with that. And there's a part of the game that you're just always going to miss.
Yep, for sure.
I remember when they were rolling out the plan for broadcasts, talking to Jack and all the play-by-play guys around the league. It's a little club, right? And they made a point of saying, do a good job, but don't do too good of a job because we need to be back in the building.
I was always worried some accountant would sit there after that and be like, why do we need to send anyone on
Yes.
the road? We could just have booths set up in all of our studios and they could call the games and we save how much on travel? Oh, we're going to save on these hotels and these flights. Oh, yeah, we could. You guys can still broadcast, but you don't have to travel.
And
Interesting.
A lot of these accountants are not fans of sports. They're just number people.
Yeah,
They look at the Excel spreadsheet.
And that's
bean
all they do.
counters, yeah.
And they go, and for them, their argument would be, well, you could do it, you did it, and we didn't spend this money.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you did it, and we didn't spend this money.
Right.
And the people that run the very top, for whatever reason, love to listen to the spreadsheet people.
Because they get bigger bonuses.
But when you pay, is it not billions of dollars for the
You're talking
for the
TNT
rights?
here?
Yeah.
And you're gonna cheap out on a couple of hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense.
It's incredible.
And for it's your home radio broadcast for the Leafs.
Yeah.
There you go,
Rogers
guys. It's
at
your
the time
show.
with Bell and Larry Tannenbaum. Like, it's not that much.
Yeah.
Just send these extra 2 guys. Like, they're the tech person is on site. You're paying a tech anyways because you got one at home anyways.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're just really sending these 2 guys. That's it. For TNT, that just goes to show where the NHL is in their pecking order.
That's a disrespect.
Yeah, that's we don't care. We got these rights, but the NHL doesn't matter to us.
Yeah.
But you paid billions for it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to you.
They were flying poor
Okay.
Jackie. Jackie, she was here for the game on the Sunday, and she's like, I leave at 5 a.m. tomorrow. I have to be in Kansas City for Raw. And then I have to fly back maybe for the next game for this series. But then she ended up in Toronto, or Winnipeg yesterday. She was there. I don't know how she does it. But she is jet setting everywhere. They send the rink side reporters everywhere. I think they even fired Megan Mickelson up here for a game or 2 because she does TNT stuff, but she's in Calgary, so it's not far. Plus, this is her hometown. But the actual play-by-play team, they will have them do it remotely, which is insane. That's disrespect. I think that's disrespect.
No, it's a disrespect to the league.
Yeah.
You're not doing the NFL. They would never do that for the NFL.
No, are you kidding me?
They would not do that for the NBA playoffs and stuff. Those leagues
white
would
glove
not
treatment.
do that at all. The
Yes.
fact that you do it for that league is, yeah, you're not as important to us.
I'm hearing that might become more of the way it goes in the future
hope
than
not.
less. Though, is what I had a conversation with someone about that yesterday, and they're telling me that what their understanding is it's going to be happening more and more.
Well, there's that. I know, at least with ESPN and stuff, they've done it with college football and college basketball. Not obviously like Alabama's playing. It's not some random like Alabama, Auburn. The people are there.
Yeah.
But there would be, University, Texas, San Antonio taking on TCU maybe on a weekend. ESPN might call it from Bristol.
Yeah.
Uh,
They might not send people, or there's basketball. They've been starting to do it, but that's been going on probably for, I want to say, at least 10 years
So
now
you're
or something.
trashing TCU, hey?
I was going
What
more
did
of
TCU
the.
do to
Yeah,
you?
I was going more UTSA, the Roadrunners.
Jason Tucker play at
Yeah.
TCU?
He was a horned frog.
Yeah.
The Horned Frog.
Yeah. No, it was more of the University of Texas San Antonio.
Yes.
that
Okay.
one.
Good.
That's they were playing a smaller school, not the biggest school. I guess they shouldn't be TSU. They were in the playoffs just a couple years ago. BYU, there. UTSA BYU.
BYU, that's a big school.
Yeah, that's a big school,
Andrew
eh?
the
Not a
accountant
big
says,
TV
don't
one,
worry,
I don't
guys. I would always let sports people travel. That's because Andrew the accountant likes sports.
That's gonna. I just realized. Yeah, it's 10:55. That's
wow.
it for the
Smokes.
EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage here in your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Tom Gazzola and McCourt. Reminder: VIP golf show was back yesterday.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome.
Great show.
Thank you. I love
Cam
it.
Martins was on as Zach has his quest for 100.
Blair McDowell from Northern Bear was there.
If you missed it, you can check out the podcast. You could also go on our YouTube and take a listen. We'll be back next Sunday with the next edition at 8 a.m. What was on this past weekend for those that missed it? And do you know what's coming up next weekend?
Well, this week we started with Rob Wilson, the owner of VIP Golf, the title sponsor of the show. Second segment, we talked a lot about my Masters trip.
Hell yeah.
In that segment, then Cam Martins was on. Then we did our open segment, and the final segment was Blair McDowell from Northern Bear. This upcoming week, we're going to be previewing the PGA Championship. That's on... and Andrew, I'm going to forget his last name right now. Fox. Andrew Fox is on from 7 Gen. He's a First Nations. I've known him since college, and he's doing some great things in First Nations and golf. And so that should be a really cool segment. And I know we're running out of time, but
No, feel free.
Tune in 8 a.m. here on Sunday at Edmonton Sports Talk and check it all out. It's going to be
Morning
awesome.
boys always take our time.
No, do they?
And they went a couple minutes long today.
Scott,
we could take a couple of extra
Scott
minutes.
Stiles, Teacher of the Year again in Alberta. He's going to be on Round YG with Sean Piercy, and TaylorMade, the person in charge of the TaylorMade Performance Centers all across Canada, is going to be on to talk to us about TaylorMade Performance Centers.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Anyway, we'll play. So tomorrow, just the pregame, we'll play a little bit later, but we also do have an audio stream replay Tuesdays. Usually it'll be at 6. Tomorrow will be at 7 o'clock. No, 7:30. Right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. But yeah, if you missed it, be sure to go check it out. Great show for all the golfers out there. That's it for the EST Hangout here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, presented by Play Alberta. On behalf of Tommy Murray, I am Matt. Coming up next, it is the Lock Shop. We do have Oil Stream. We got EST Afternoons, Reed Welkin Show, all still to come on EST. Thank you for tuning in. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today